Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Thanks to TriBooth, the best vocal booth for home or on-the-road voice recording. Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robert Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Don't forget, if you want to buy yourself a TriBooth, there is a special code which will give you a $200 discount. The code is PAP200. That's Papa Alpha Papa 200. Phonetic alphabet always comes in handy, especially when you have an accent. Now, this week we're going to talk about a microphone that just popped out of nowhere from Universal Audio, which does look very similar to a very famous microphone.
It is. No. It is. It does not look like that. That is a spray painted
Yes.
white SM7. I mean, because I'm looking at a picture of it with the foamy grill off. It is every bit an SM7. I want to see the. Hold on. I'm going to get my SM7.
Well, they partnered with Townsend, a.k.a. bought them. You know,
Oh,
Townsend
really?
Labs?
Townsend Labs.
No.
Universal Audio.
No, Universal Audio bought Townsend Labs. So
Okay,
that's their own mic now.
That's a little bit more.
And so when you go on their website, you know, it's NAMM time, right? This is when all the new gear is usually released.
Yep.
So we're seeing all this new gear being dropped by these, companies. They were to relax their release schedule a little bit because, well, you know, NAMM didn't happen yet. It's in June.
Yep.
But, you know, here we go, new stuff. And Universal Audio is dropping a bomb and saying, oh, by the way, we have microphones. And interestingly, a lot of them say the word Bach.
Yeah, Bach Audio. Sure.
So are we saying that they bought Bach also? Because it seems that way. Now, what's
Wow.
funny is when you look at the mics on the front, on the top of the homepage, they don't have the model names of the mics. It's just a picture of all the lineup without the model numbers. So
Yep.
there's a pair of small diaphragm, their SM7 knockoff, the Townsend, and then a few mics that look a hell of a lot like Bach Audio
They
mics. Then you scroll down.
Yeah.
Which Bach, by
And
the way,
then
is the
you
same as
eventually see-
Sound Deluxe.
Right. Then when you get far enough down, you eventually see UA Bach series microphones coming in fall
wow.
2022. So they they just dropped that. So interestingly, I don't know a ton about Bach. I do know it's a California designer. And I also know that there was a bad situation with Bach Audio last year, or was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Like a bad situation where your mic is bad and you can't get it fixed. Like that kind of bad.
Bach was the guy, wasn't he with Sound Deluxe?
Yes.
Wasn't he Sound Deluxe and then went off on his own?
My favorite mic that I have is my Sound Deluxe U99. It's basically a Neumann U67. And
So now there's a Bach 167, a Bach 251, which is one of their great mics,
yep,
and a Bach 187. Funny names, right?
87.
67, 87, you get the idea.
Yeah.
And they're coming to Universal Audio's lineup. So they're becoming a bigger company with more product lines, Townsend Labs, and now Bach microphones, and whatever that dynamic mic is that we're all quite curious about. You know, it even has a switch on the back,
It
just
is-
like
okay.
the SM57.
I've looked at this very closely because I'm holding an SM7B in my hand, and then I was looking at the picture. So it has the same two switches, except they're made smaller,
Yeah.
and they're made smaller, and then the XLR is not on the post of the microphone, but it's in the back of the
Yeah.
mic. But
Yeah,
besides
they were a
that,
little
when
more
you look at the
conventional.
construction of the grill, I mean, it's the same.
Some patents must have expired, or they found a loophole in the patent, one or the other.
Because I'm
yeah.
not finding any credit that they're giving.
No.
But
No,
it
no.
looks, I mean, like this is the kind of thing that, like, you know, you expect Behringer to do to Mackie.
It is. So now it's happening on the higher level of production, you know, higher end brands, not just Behringer's side of things.
I mean,
Because the difference with the SM7B, apart from the fact the XLR plugs into the bottom, you also have a panel you can remove from the back of the SM7 an SM7B to adjust,
Right.
different whatever.
Yeah, they
different
hide
switches.
they hide it. They hide it back there. But now it's just exposed, and you just have to use a pen or a pick tool to reach in there and flick those little switches.
Right. And then
I mean, if it has a higher output than the SM7, that would be nice,
Yeah.
because the SM7 is notoriously low output.
I mean, what do they buy a bunch of SM7s, gut them, and do the old thing where you redo the guts?
It would seem like they reverse engineered them and just made their own version, avoiding any kind of patent, infringement.
Wow, that's interesting. So Universal Audio are just going bunter at the moment. They
really are.
Yeah.
They're leveraging the massive domination of the business in the sales. They've essentially, as far as I can surmise, they're leveraging the revenue they've made on licensing plugins. Because everybody knows you don't make a lot of money on hardware, generally. It's software you make a lot of money on, and those
You do?
licenses. if you know how to run a business,
We're shocked, George.
and these guys, are killing it on software licenses. I don't know what the deal is they have with all the licensees, but let's say they split it 50-50. Imagine the number of licenses of the Avalon and the Neve plugins and everything else that they've made money on. It's got to be astronomical profit.
Well, they're expanding that now. They've got Townsend Labs.
And now they're the Townsend Lab.
Yeah, more plugins.
And the UA mic has a preamp that works, or a preset that works only if you use it with, or somehow this SM7B SD1, can't tell what it is, mic. It works with the Universal Audio with a preset on some plugins.
Oh, so they have a plugin preset that's made to listen to that particular mic? I guess is
can't
what you're
tell.
saying?
I don't know how it works because the only output of that mic is XLR, but somehow I
what
can
they've
read
done is
some
they
more.
they just made analog presets. I see it right here. So they made a bunch of analog presets. They're probably EQ curves that make this mic match nicely with basically all the instruments. Bass, cello, guitar, kick, lead vocals, nylon string guitar, organ, piano, podcast, snare, spoken word, steel string guitar, etc. So, they're just another level of trying to make their equipment more friendly to non-engineers.
Wow.
That's what it seems like to me, which isn't a bad thing, really. But I wish they would make a non-engineer console that worked like the way non-engineers think. I think that's really the next frontier for them. Is the console is just it's still really frustrating and hard to understand for many, and especially the way their loop back kind of, which isn't really a loop back. The way all that stuff works is not intuitive at all, and it doesn't work consistently between applications. So I think that's the next frontier. I mean, is to just rethink the
fixing
console.
their driver. You mean so it doesn't crash?
Rethinking
Zoom?
the console, because PreSonus, the Revelator I have, it's not the greatest piece of hardware. It doesn't have the quietest, best preamps. Nobody's going to ever say it sounds as good as an Apollo, but the drivers are brilliant. So it's a trade-off. I even had a client buy a Revelator on my recommendation who had a Solo. And the first Revelator he received, he was shocked and appalled at how bad it sounded. I thought maybe it was slightly exaggerated until I heard it, and it did sound really terrible compared to the Apollo. It was not subtle. Let's put it that way. It was not subtle. And I said, this sounds defective. Nobody's ever complained that I sound lousy on my Revelator. So get another one. And he did. And the other one sounds a lot better. So they're probably having a little issue with consistency. And it's, $200 interface with a full-blown mixing console, DSP on board. They're going to have to cut costs somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
So, but Apollo should not be cutting costs. They're supposed to be a cut above the likes of the PreSonuses of the world. So, anyway, let's just see what they do next. But this is it's interesting. I had no idea that they were launching this stuff. This was a surprise.
I just saw it pop up just a couple of days ago and thought, oh, hello, that looks kind of familiar, except white. Yeah. So there you go. Universal Audio in the mic biz. Interesting.
I'm trying to find
really
out
the
what
mic
this
biz.
preset stuff is about, and I can't read fast enough because I failed that class in school.
There is no smarts between this new mic and the Apollo, right? This is an analog mic through and through. So it's not a Townsend Labs mic. The Townsend Labs is the
Townsend Labs is also just a mic. It's also
just a mic, right? So they're just taking the Townsend Labs idea of taking whatever the capsule sends into the software and just extending it to this new dynamic mic. But they're not saying that you're going to turn your dynamic mic into some other dynamic mic. There's not a list of famous dynamic mics. There's not an RE20 or whatever, that's in that list.
Did you pull up I'm not even finding what you found, like a screenshot of the software or whatever they're.
Well, I saw the list of presets that they had, and I just saw that they weren't named they're not named after mics, they're named after instruments. So there's the SD1 bass cabinet, SD1 cello, SD1 electric guitar cabinet.
Being a dynamic mic, I don't think it's going to be the main choice for voiceover. Maybe radio, maybe podcasting, but for VO work.
No, people still end up buying them because somebody at Sweetwater tells them to buy one, but it is still not the right mic for voiceover. It just is not. I mean, if it happens to sound good on you, then good on you, but I almost never will pick an SM7 over a condenser mic for a voiceover track. It just, if you had only an SM7 and you worked in a vacuum, you'd say it sounds fine. Then you'd put up a $300 condenser mic, like an NT1 Rode,
and sound better.
You'd go, oh, that's what it should sound like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like we did a bunch of tests of the SM7 at the SAG lab, the Don LaFontaine voiceover lab, years ago. We did a big mic shootout, and that was one of the mics that was tested, the SM7. And, in that controlled environment with those monitors in that room, a lot of people thought the SM7 was the best sounding mic on their voice.
Hold on. It is not a Shure ripoff, George. You need to look up the T-Bone. What the hell is this? The T-Bone C. The case gets thicker. Look up T-Bone BC500. And now...
So they're OEMing somebody else's mic?
Well, I think they're trying to sell an $84 mic for $300.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. It's called the T-Bone what?
Well, it's not totally the same, but the back of it and the switches, it's like the T-Bone, it's like a cross between the T-Bone BC500, if you look at it from the back, but then from the front, it's an awful lot like an SM7B. I mean, the pot thickens.
Music.
Yeah. Who music?
Tomon. It's a European. I think they're in Europe.
Yeah, they're in Germany.
They're like the Guitar Center of Germany.
Yeah.
So this is the Guitar Center of Germany's house brand microphone. Like tube.
Yeah.
What is it? Groove Tubes and what's another one of those brands? Sterling. The Sterling microphones of Guitar Center.
Yeah.
This is the Sterling microphones of Tomon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
cheap
yeah. This is the same damn thing.
I think UA worked with Thomann, not with Shure.
No, they definitely didn't work with Shure. I seriously doubt they worked with Shure. They just knew that was the mic in front of the world's most famous podcasters, right? And they want a piece of that,
But find a picture of the.
But it's $84.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
But it's in stock in 12 to 15 weeks, so it's not. You can't buy one today.
So look at the grill of the. I'm probably the Thomann, but definitely the SD1, and then the grill of the SM7B. It looks like the same guy welded them, like the same guy. Which is funny because you know how like Neumann went around suing everybody over the grill of the U87.
Right. I remember talking to a guy from Peluso saying we cannot, because I'm talking to a Peluso P67 right now.
Oh, and nice. I'm talking about a
of the mic.
Telefunken tube, but not old to like new
Okay,
telephone.
the new ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or
the
it's
SM7
supposedly built in America, but who knows?
Okay. The SM7, I mean, the Palooza P67, it doesn't look like a U67 because they could not.
And it does
They were
not have an
allowed. It
EF86
was-
chip either, or EF86
Right.
tube.
But the head basket is completely different because they could not make it look like a 67 head basket, right?
Right. But it's still a kick-ass
Neumann
mic.
protects that. Yeah, this P67 is taking the place of David K. I'm in David K's studio. It's taking the place of his U67, his real U67, which is worth like what, $8,000 to $10,000.
More than that. More than that.
But we put it back in the suitcase because maintenance. It was finicky. I was like, you know what? Do you want me to keep running mics back and forth to our tech guy in Burbank, or just kind of make it easier on yourself and just get a modern mic? And that's the route we ended up going. He's been fine. He's been really fine with it. It's very similar.
It's quite interesting that the U67, because it's like a combination of the Microtech Fell, the M92.1 or UM57 has the same tube, but it has the different capsule because
right. That's like an M7.
U47 has the M7.
Yeah, it's an
but
M7 with an
the 67
EF86.
doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. Because my Gefell's got the M7 capsule and the EF86.
But not the Mylar M7 capsule.
It's made in the same.
No,
on
there's
the
a
same
big
machine
thing
they made
like
the originals.
So with the M7 capsules, there's some that were with Mylar, I believe, and some that were not. And the Mylar ones would run out, but they sound so good. And but they would eventually wear out or disintegrate or something would happen with them. But those original U47 capsules with the Mylar were, I think, super sought after. There's something about the Mylar with M7 capsules.
Yeah.
But it's not a good material to use because it wears out and like evaporates or probably goes up your nose and gives you cancer or something. I don't know.
But it's worth it because you sound good.
That's right.
Yeah.
My cancer sounds wonderful. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm still waiting for the lawsuits to start from all the people in voiceover booths who claim to have caught cancer from the materials in their products.
It'll be the
companies are taking this very serious.
What's it called? Mesothelioma. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real concern. I mean, Studio Bricks starting now, if you get a booth from Studio Bricks that you ordered this year, they have removed all the VOCs from their products. Like they are using all different materials now.
And just to remind everybody, what does VOC stand for?
Oh, volatile organic compounds. So, they're really, really wanting to make sure that their product cannot be pointed to as a source of a carcinogen. And they care too. It's not like they're not making, like I just talked to them. I had a meeting with Guillermo and Miguel from them last week. They're not making a eco version. It's just they are going completely to eco. Like they're not going to make any of the prior ones anymore. It's all new material. So
does it change the cost?
Everything. Oh, come on, Robert. Yeah. Everything's gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
Except Source Connect.
Not studio.
Right.
Studio rates.
Well, they should be.
Yeah.
Every damn thing is more expensive.
True.
Everything is more expensive. Even in SSL, they just jumped from $229 to $269. The SSL2.
Oh, yeah.
The map on those is $269. I started looking around. I was like, wait, why did it go up on Amazon? Because that's the first place I look. And then I realized, nope, it's $269.99 on Sweetwater. So that's the new map. It's going up $40. So, I mean, everything's going up in price.
Except us. We're cheap.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel richer.
Yeah.
So this was the show about what?
That was a weird episode.
Yeah, it was.
I love our tangential meanderings.
Yeah. Where we just drift. I was going to ask you though, George, Oralex, do they have what is it, CDCs?
VOCs.
Oh, VOCs?
Voltage operated, no.
Well, I believe Oralex has worked hard to eliminate them, and they have more than one product line, unless they've changed their product lines and added, like they may have announced that across the board, their products are all VOC free. But I don't know of a foam that exists that is free of VOCs. I don't know if you can make foam without some kind of volatile organic compounds. I don't know. I know they've been trying to eliminate it, but foam just has those issues. I don't see, it's interesting. I don't see Oralex coming out with any PET based panels, which is the newest. That's the new wonder material is PET. That's the new thing.
What does that stand for?
PET stands for polyethylene terephthalate.
Doesn't sound good. That sounds bad.
It does sound bad. But so does xylitol, but that stuff's good for you.
Yeah.
Is a form of
broccoli sounds bad too. So yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Unless you run the James Bond franchise, then broccoli sounds good.
So if PET is extruded or molded into plastic bottles and containers for packaging of food. So it's what your food comes in.
Excellent.
It's what your sodas come in. It's PET. And so what they're doing is they're taking PET and just stranding it, turning it into a fiber, and then they compress it into acoustical panels. Is what they're doing now. So Studio Bricks' new panels are a CNC milled version of that with like a really cool sort of a rectangular cross section. It looks like a bunch of rectangles about 2 inches thick with spaces between.
Okay.
You have to go look at it.
Yeah.
You can look it up at studiobricks.com. But their new panels look really good. They're doing bass traps. They're doing a variety of product, and it's all based on PET. And it's nice because they sent me one and has absolutely no odor. Like that's the test. If you can pick something up, shove your nose in it, and take a big. And if you don't smell really anything, then you're in no VOC land. You're doing good.
If it doesn't make you feel like you're dissecting a frog.
Yeah, no, you don't want to have anything with. You want to try to avoid breathing any formaldehyde. Right, that's a biggie, and a lot of stuff still has that. In fact, the new car smell that people have known to grow and love is literally the leaching out of that chemical from the plastic of the interior.
Lovely.
So enjoy your new car smell, everyone.
Yeah, that's
you're
right.
You're probably not going to be smelling a new car smell for much longer because they're going to eliminate that.
It's your last car smell.
Yeah. There probably won't be a new car smell eventually. They'll eventually figure out how to get rid of it. Yeah. And you'll have to just buy the little tree air freshener with which has the smell.
Yeah. I'm looking at the M7 capsule, and it looks like they're made of PVC.
Yeah, there's PVC and Mylar, right? I swear to God, there's an M7 with Mylar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The M9 capsule has Mylar, and in fact, I think one of my Gefell mics, the M930, the Art, has a Mylar capsule. I should actually dig it out and make sure it still works.
That's a very that's worth a lot, but also watch out because I think your capsule will evaporate or something. But
yeah.
By the way, UA bought Bach. They are not partnering with them. They purchased Bach.
I had a feeling that they rescued them from death.
Yeah,
because it's Stephen, wasn't it? Stephen Bach? Is that the guy?
I think so. I mean, it's funny because it's like the same thing happened to them then because they were with Sound Deluxe, then they're not, then they're Bach on their own, and now they're bought. Because
I had a client with a Bach that had a really bad time, getting it serviced and got a real runaround. It was a bad scene.
Yeah,
it was like I have this very expensive microphone that I can't use. So I think the company was on life support, and UA was like, well, we don't want them to die.
Yeah.
Wonder what we can swoop them up for, probably cheap. So they did. Good on them. I mean, if they re-release it and it's the same quality and made the same way and it's not just in name, Telefunken's gone through a bit of a, an evolution.
The name survives, but now it's no longer in Europe. It's in Connecticut.
It's not
supposedly built in the U.S., but is it, or is it just a name that?
Well, it's assembled in the U.S.
Right.
There's a lot of good microphones that are assembled, in the U.S.
No, I mean this is a good mic. Actually, we were listening to it with some other stuff, and actually this mic here, what was it?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being unfair. I mean, I don't know that mic well at all. I've seen them and I've the name's kind of funny. Like, isn't there one called the AK-47 or something?
Yeah, this one is it's the one that's supposed to be like the 47, and there was 2 of them that they made, and it's an homage to the 47, but it's brighter than that, I can tell you, despite...
Is it?
I mean, I don't know. I think so.
It's
I'm
funny,
not recording on a lot of 47s, but my impression
Right.
when I've ever encountered a 47, it's a much darker, thicker, bigger mic. But this isn't like...
It's a mic that people think they want to sound good. They think that they want to sound like they want to hear themselves on one because they think it's going to have to sound amazing, but it doesn't necessarily sound great.
Yeah, I'll
On
take a
spoken
67 over a 47 any day, personally.
Sure, yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
for
like the right
spoken
mic
word.
for the right purpose and the right person. So it's not
Right.
it's not absolute.
It's never absolute.
No, true.
By the way, it might be the
you gotta go 10
PVC that
minutes.
cracks. It looks like maybe it's the PVC that cracks on the M7 capsules. I can't tell.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the PVC or the Mylar that cracks, but I'll check it out. In fact, I might check mine and see if they're cracked. Anyway, on another note, George, you have a webinar coming up tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for letting me slip this one in. So if you've been curious about Isotope RX,
As the bishop said to the actress.
this might be your chance to get some insight, at least my point of view on how to use Isotope RX standard for anything voice related, voiceover, mastering of an audiobook, etc. I'll go through all the tool sets that I find useful, the plugins in RX, and kind of give you an orientation. And we'll also go over Spectral View and what that does, and which plugins make sense, which ones you should avoid. How do you know when you're overdoing it? That kind of thing. So if you want to be there, just go over to georgethe.tech/webinars. And that's where all my webinars, current, present, future, and past are. And you can sign up right there and join in. There should still be a couple of slots, I believe. And if there isn't, let me know, and we'll slip you in there somehow.
Lovely.
Anyway, thanks for your time, and on to the next.
Lovely. Isotope. Excellent. All right, we'll catch you next week for another thrilling episode of the Pro Audio Suite.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters. And mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.